나와 신나고 뻔게 또 신나 샤바와키 신나무 기그라니 짜이 샤바기라니 짜이무 기그라니
You know what MAGA hates the most about us? Our joy. We are the party of fun. We are the party of love, compassion, empathy. We're the party that knows how to bring up the underdog. We know how to help each other out. We know how to raise and support our middle class.
Yep, she knows love and joy because she is Clint's girlfriend. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name's Luke Radowski here of thebestpoliticalshow.com, and we are going to be going live, even though our guest and co-host are officially late, here on this independent media broadcast on thebestpoliticalshow.com for the next 2 hours, discussing all the latest and craziest news developing right now. As of course, there are so many things to talk about, as we just got information that the feds are actually blocking the governor of Florida from investigating the Donald Trump golf course assassin, as we just got new pictures from that day to how close the lunatic actually got to Donald Trump, as there's also a Secret Service whistleblower. What's going on with that? As Diddy is also in some very difficult times, according to a lot of people. He soon will be Epstein, will he? Well, that's one of the things that we're going to be discussing here, as there's also some larger questions about a potential chemical attack. There's a California woman that's also dealing with some crazy symptoms, and we'll probably have to wait until an hour in order to discuss that particular topic on a more free speech-centered platform that actually allows us to talk to each other freely. Right now, we're on YouTube. Right now, you guys could also participate in the conversation, and another reason why we go over to this kind of free speech platform is because we allow you guys, the audience, to actually call in. You could call in and ask us whatever you want in a totally unfiltered way just by simply signing up to Unfiltered.com. Yes, you get to be a part of the show. You get to be the guest. You get to be a part of all the fun just by signing up to Unfiltered.com, and then you get access to a Telegram channel. On that Telegram channel, I am in there right now asking who wants to call in. As of right now, we don't have a caller. That caller could be you. And to incentivize people calling in, we also have supplements from wearechange.shop that we have started to give out to every caller. So if you want a free supplement, you actually will get something for calling in and participating in the conversation. So far, we have had incredible people calling in with their expertise on particular issues, adding a lot of important context to a lot of important stories, but also asking a lot of really cool inquisitive questions, and I really like that. I think it's a really fun way to conduct this kind of broadcast in a totally unfiltered way where anyone could call in, could say anything, show us anything, and that's a part of the fun that we have on the platform that we usually go in about an hour from now, which we will with our guest and hopefully co-host if he's not sleeping in too late with all the snoo-stoo and love that he is getting from all of his girlfriends. As of course, we also will be trying to read any and all super chats during the particular conversations. We prioritize Streamlabs super chats on mysuperchat.com, and of course, those will get priority over everything else. Joining us for today's conversation is Marta Bueno, who literally invited a guy here last time we were live with an ATF jacket who walked in during the live stream. You can watch that shenanigans by watching the last podcast episode. Martha, how are you?
Wonderful. I guess you're never going to let me live that down.
I will not.
Well, you know what? You're welcome. I bring the fun.
It was a little weird because like literally I just clicked the live button. As soon as I did, a guy, ATF jacket, walks in, opens the door, doesn't even knock. And I'm like, what in the world is going on here? I'm like, automatically lock that door.
It's a bit late if you already opened the door, Luke.
Yeah,
a little late.
I
was Clint.
Yeah. And I'm like, we gotta have a serious conversation here. Who are you, Martha? As of course, there's a lot of conversations about your feet as well in the comment section.
Really?
Yes.
I am surprised to hear that. I guess we really do have to do that little business. So my name is Martha Bueno. You can find me on X and IG at Bueno for Miami, and I'm a little bit of everything. But today I am the person who booked our guest, who is a little bit late, but he's a fantastic guest, and I'm super excited to have him come on and talk to him.
He's just going to walk in during the podcast. We decided not to wait for too long because we are going to be doing a little meetup with a lot of people who are usually guests of the show later on today in Miami. And I'm kind of just thinking here, and I thought about this earlier. I think it would be cool to do a LukeUnfiltered.com meetup in Miami. I'm announcing it. Screw it. If my producer is watching, maybe we could write something up saying, hey, if you're a member of LukeUnfiltered.com, you will now be able to come hang out with all the guests that usually come to this show. I usually do this once a week with just the guests, but I think it'll be cool to involve all of you guys in order to incentivize you guys to sign up to LukeUnfiltered.com, especially if you're in the South Florida region. We did a couple of these meetups. We did a couple nature hikes for just members of LukeUnfiltered.com, but next week, 7 p.m. Friday, we're doing another official meetup just for members and guests of this show on for members of LukeUnfiltered.com. So if my producer could write that up, and we'll post it and get that out there everywhere, as well as Stephanie might even come out as well. Right, Steph?
Yeah, I'm usually around. It's nice to see everybody. This is Steph of We Are Change, here pushing the buttons. That's all.
I'm sorry I'm going to miss the meetup with all the guests. That sounds amazing. But I just realized that I'm going to be protesting the war next week.
Yeah, there's a big event in Washington, D.C. that's going to be bringing a lot of very interesting people. I know they asked me to kind of be there. I think we have guests coming in, so it's a conflict of interest. We prioritize this show as best as we can here. As, of course, we want to make sure that we're going to be available for everyone. Pulling off a live stream last minute in Washington, D.C. would be very difficult, so I think we're going to have to stay here. Martha will be there. Maybe we could do some live hits from Martha on the ground there, which I think would be pretty interesting. As, of course, let's just get into the top story today. As last night, I think the biggest story that came out was the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, came out on Fox News and described a situation where the feds are blocking his investigation into what happened with the assassin on Trump's golf course. As, of course, this was the second attempt on Donald Trump's life, and a lot of people are now asking, hey, this crime happened in Florida. Florida announced its separate investigation, and now the feds are blocking it. Why would they do that? As, of course, some very serious questions should arise from this. Here's the clip from Fox News that I think is absolutely worth watching and commentating on.
Governor, I want to turn to another topic because we were relieved to hear that you are doing your own independent investigation.
MAGA hates the most about of us
in Florida concerning the second assassination attempt on President Trump. My question to you tonight is, are the feds being cooperative with your investigation? Are you concerned that you're not getting the information you need?
The answer is no, they're not being cooperative. Yes, I am concerned. I mean, for example, we were rebuffed, our investigators were rebuffed just going to the fence line outside of Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach. And so I think they've taken the position, they don't want the state of Florida to be involved in this. But here's the thing. There were multiple violations of Florida law across multiple jurisdictions. We think at least 3 judicial circuits. This guy, Ryan Routh, committed potential violations of Florida law. So we have a duty to investigate this. We have a duty to bring the appropriate charges. And we also have a duty to inform the public about how this happened. So I don't anticipate they're being cooperative. I think that they've just taken that position. And I think that that's unfortunate because even though I've been very clear, state of Florida is going to do an investigation, I've not disputed their right to also investigate. It's the federal government. He was in their protective custody as a presidential candidate. But let us do this. So hopefully that tune will change. But I can tell you right now, Laura, we have not gotten a lot of receptive response.
Yeah, now imagine if the shoe was on the other foot here. Imagine if the state of Florida was blocking the federal investigation, not cooperating, not helping them out. Obviously, the feds would be freaking out. There would be national news stories about this. Obviously, the right-wing media sphere and the independent media are talking about this. But the corporate media that overwhelmingly likes to talk negatively about Donald Trump really isn't talking about this. So it's interesting to see Ron DeSantis, who again was at odds with Donald Trump. There was a fierce political battle between Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump, and it's good to see DeSantis kind of standing up here saying, wait, I don't trust the feds here. There was a sheriff that came out right after the second attempted assassination and said, hey, there's a larger possibility of a conspiracy unfolding here as well, as of course that's what's on everyone's mind, and I think correctly so. Martha, what do you think? As of course you also have been a longtime Florida resident. What do you make of your governor's comments here?
I love it. I think it's fantastic that he's stepping up and investigating this. I feel like, we didn't really get to the bottom of the first attempt, it seems like. And so, I really appreciate him stepping up and deciding to do something about it and investigate it on his own. As we know, the governor of a state is like the president of the state. So he has every right to investigate. And it's curious that he's being blocked. He's not being allowed to really investigate. And, he's been at odds with Donald Trump for a while now. So I do love that he is standing up here and saying, no, it's still my duty. This is my state. They are now at odds over the cannabis amendment as well. So they're still going head to head. And I want to hear what DeSantis uncovers.
Steph, we have a super chat that's related to the conversation that we're having right now. Can you read it? It's on screen.
Yeah, it says, I'm not your buddy guy, and he's saying 2 questions remain for me about the latest attempt on Trump. A, how did he know Trump was going to be golfing that day? And B, I heard Trump decided the day of. If so, who or what pushed Trump to make that decision?
Yeah, I mean, Trump loves to golf. It could have been just a last-minute spur kind of decision, as of course the official story was that there was a friend there and they just were hanging out and they're like, yeah, let's just go golfing. And they're like, yeah, okay, let's do it. I wonder now if Donald Trump has some questions about the person who possibly suggested that idea, as I would personally myself, as of course this really isn't, the golf course really isn't prepared from the stories that we're hearing, wasn't really prepared to have people on it. So what was kind of going on here. There's also a whistleblower coming forward as well, as of course it looks like we have our co-host who just finished his snoo. But we have the remaining clip from this Fox News interview as well that we're going to be playing right now.
Very disturbing. By the way, we have Ruth's mugshot where he looks to be slightly smirking. He's a very strange individual, to say the least, but we've heard other FBI agents, former agents, governors say they think it's quite odd that in the first assassination attempt and the second assassination attempt, there's almost an immediate response from the feds saying that, oh, looks like he's acted alone, or we really don't know what the motives are here. Oh, does that strike you as slightly strange, to say the least?
Yeah, I don't think the public has confidence when that is being done. So as soon as we got word of this on Sunday, I told our guys in state law enforcement, save all his social media, because Facebook will delete it. The tech companies want to delete it.
Right.
Get his digital trail, store that, because we need to know, how did he end up in Florida to begin with? What is this pathway this guy has taken to end up in those bushes trying to assassinate the former president of the United States and current Republican nominee? How did that happen? And we have not gotten answers about Butler. We haven't gotten answers about things like the Las Vegas shooting from many years ago. So part of the investigation that our folks are doing is they are going to provide evidence they find of motive, evidence of his associations, and evidence of his beliefs.
Good.
I think that's very important that the public get the real story on that.
Yeah, well, and the FBI has shredded its own credibility. And Governor, thank goodness you're doing an investigation. I was so happy to hear that. And it's wonderful to see you tonight. Thank you so much.
Yeah, amazing statements from the governor of Florida. As, of course, a lot of people in the MAGA circles still are mad at him, but I think his handling of the situation is on par with what a governor should be doing. And let's be honest here, if this assassination attempt happened in any other state, there probably wouldn't be these larger steps taken to investigate exactly what happened here. Clint Russell, Liberty Lockdown in the house.
Yo,
how are you?
I'm good, man. Where's Jimmy at? Anyways,
he's coming. He's late. Everyone's late. It's Friday. Everyone's like, I'll take the day off. It's a half a day. So.
Yeah, sorry.
It's fine.
When we talked on Wednesday, you did say the show would be on Friday, which is unusual, but I did not get a different time. So
and I did say 4 p.m.
No, he didn't.
I was like 4 p.m.
What?
You cited.
Run the tape back.
We'll run the tape.
Run the tape
We'll
back.
run the tape back.
Anyways,
4 p.m. We returned 4 p.m.
Okay, well,
Friday.
maybe he did. I don't remember it. Anyways, I think that this is obviously fantastic news. I think that DeSantis gives me some hope. I mean, there's a lot of, I know the MAGA world is very upset about the person that he appointed to be the top of that investigation, saying that he's a never-Trumper and that he had to delete a bunch of very, very not pro-Trump posts before he got that position. So that's not good news. But I tend to have faith that DeSantis is the type that will fire people that don't do their job. I'm curious if you have the same faith or if you're more skeptical.
No, I said earlier, I think it's fantastic that DeSantis is actually investigating this. I think, this is exactly what most people would want to hear. And yeah, I do think that DeSantis has the, I forget that we're on the...
he has the chutzpah.
Yes, thank you for that word. He has the chutzpah to do what needs to be done. A lot of people here in Florida, whether you like DeSantis or not, we think that he's done overall a pretty okay job, and he's done the things that we want him to do. So yeah, I think if given the opportunity, because apparently he's being blocked, he'd do the right thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions about his kind of political leadership when he was running for the presidency of the United States, as he kind of waffled and flip-flopped on a lot of key issues like Ukraine. But I think his handling of this, especially with what he just said on a nationally televised audience, what he just kind of announced saying, hey, we still have questions about the first attempt. This is the second attempt now. We're going to actually make sure we're going to find out what really happened here. As a lot of people are saying, hey, this could have been as the government says it happened, but I'm just happy that the governor is there willing to be able to question it and also kind of point at the larger direction like, hey, the government commits conspiracies all the time. Look what happened in Las Vegas. That's another major incident that no one likes to talk about. One of the biggest shootings in American history, affecting, of course, hundreds of people, and swept under the rug like it's a non-issue, as, of course, the questions surrounding that event, again, vast, huge, especially for all of those people that were affected by it in Nevada. Steph, we have another super chat that's kind of related to this. Can you read it? It's on screen.
I'm not your buddy guy saying, another question, how does somebody convicted of possession of weapons of mass destruction fly on a plane?
Yeah, he had an extensive criminal record, but criminals could fly. So I think that could kind of explain it. And I think the weapons of mass destruction was an automatic rifle, I think, if that's correct.
Fully auto,
but yeah, long, extensive criminal record, long, extensive record with a lot of key people in Ukraine, and a lot of very kind of questions about his mental health as well that have arisen here.
I think the weirder part is that he, from what I've read, he did not serve jail time despite having a laundry list of offenses on his record. So I think that's the main reason that I'm so skeptical that this guy might have been flipped, as opposed to serving jail time. Hey, how about you go and boost for the Free Syrian Army in Syria? How about you boost for Azov Battalion in Ukraine? How about you just go boost for all these things that happen to be really preferred by the CIA versus our enemies? And I think that's the weird angle on this. Have you covered the Josh Hawley whistleblower yet?
Nope. We have that story pulled up right now from Mario Nafal on Twitter, who wrote about it and described how U.S. Senator Josh Hawley just sent a letter to U.S. Secret Service Agent Director Ronald Rowe detailing that there's a new whistleblower allegations about the Secret Service apparent failure to secure the vulnerable locations at Trump's golf course, saying, quote, a whistleblower with direct knowledge of Secret Service protection at former President Trump's golf course in West Palm Beach, an individual who has in fact protected President Trump at the very location, alleges there are known vulnerabilities in the fence line surrounding the course. Places that offer a clear line of sight to the former president and others playing the course. As a result, the whistleblower alleges that it has been Secret Service protocol to post up agents at the vulnerable spots when Trump visits the course. That apparently did not happen on September 15th. Instead, the lunatic was permitted to remain along or near the fence line for some 12 hours. And that's the location on his cell phone that speaks to this, as we also got new video footage highlighting just how close this lunatic got to the former president of the United States after reportedly being shot at by Secret Service that preempted this larger attempted taking of his life. So this is pretty big. I remember when this story first came out, I was like, let's just wait until we get official confirmation. U.S. Senator Josh Hawley, bringing this to the forefront. It's very big and something that I think should be taken very seriously, as a lot of people are now left to connecting their own dots here. And there's a lot of dots to connect here. As in the beginning of this, everyone said Secret Service did a great job. They actually prevented it. They actually kept Trump safe. Automatically, my initial response was abolish Secret Service now, immediately. And I got scrutiny for it. But if this whistleblower is correct, once again, we have a larger historic failure here. That was just another coincidence? Yeah, right.
They keep
don't think so.
failing. They keep failing. Like, how many times are they going to fail? And how many times? I mean, they cost us so much money, too. Like, they cost us, the United States government, whatever, so much money to protect the president or the former president. And they don't do a really good job. On purpose, maybe?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the trend line that I think everybody who's more skeptical of government power is paying attention to. It's like, okay, you fail once, understandable, human error. You fail 60 days after a bullet grazed his head. That seems very hard to believe. And why would you not have totally clamped down?
Why wouldn't they boost his security detail? Obviously, somebody's after him, and they're like, "Oh, no big deal. Let's just let him go golfing, even though nobody's out there." I mean, come on, everybody would do that, right?
Yeah. Well, and it's not
we don't have a secure location. Let's send him out there anyway. Go, Trump.
Well, it's kind of like the location in Pennsylvania wasn't secure, and they knew there was like a threat. They at least saw the guy walking around, so. Yeah, no, it's cool. Just send Trump out onto stage or send him out golfing. No big deal.
Yeah, there's a lunatic on the roof with a rifle up there. He's fine. He can handle himself.
What's
Keep
a little
him up there.
Well, and it's not as if presidents golfing is an anomaly. Like, that's what they've been doing for a very long time. So they are more than equipped to deal with securing a golf course if they want to. The fact that they failed to do so egregiously for a 12-hour span should have everybody's eyebrows raised, and I think they are.
And we have our guests here. I'm super excited. Come on, have a seat over here, Jimmy.
Hop on in.
Hop on in.
Jimmy, thanks for joining us. We're live, so everyone's watching right now. A little late here. The Miami traffic is just a little.
One of my friends wrote to me, "You're late," and I was like, "What?" So they're definitely watching.
Well, thanks for coming in. Thanks so much for joining us. Feel free to help yourself to any of the snacks, any of the waters that we have there for your friend that's also here. But just speak into the microphone for the people who might not know who you are. Who are you, and how would you introduce yourself?
My name is Jimmy Levy, and I'm a singer-songwriter, a revolutionist, and a revivalist, and I just try to make music to wake people up.
Well, it's great to have you here. We're discussing right now the latest kind of allegations surrounding the second attempted assassination on Donald Trump, with the governor of Florida coming out and saying that the feds are kind of not helping with this kind of ongoing investigation, as a lot of people still have some very serious questions to what's going on here. I don't know if you've been kind of following this particular story, but it's definitely a crazy story. It's definitely a wild story. But I'm left with, again, more conspiracies rather than kind of assertions here, as the information still is very sparse, but the conclusion I'm left with, and I think the conclusion that the average public is also left with here specifically, is absolutely there was some kind of insider effort here. Absolutely there was some kind of dirty play here by the federal authorities. Do you think that's true, or do you have any other kind of understanding of it?
Yeah, I think that, this keeps being allowed to happen because it's something on the inside that's not completely organized. He has to look at the people around him more.
Yeah, it was interesting to see all the kind of U.S. members of Congress and the Senate coming out and speaking forward, as we were just talking about the new whistleblower that came out from Senator Hawley, that also just officially wrote a letter that has been made public out there to the general public, as we have another kind of breaking detail surrounding the first attempt on Donald Trump's life, as we have another Senator, Chuck Grassley, that came out and said that the Secret Service told local officials that they would, quote, take care of the building used by the lunatic that was shooting at Donald Trump. Yes, this is new details surrounding the first attempt on Donald Trump's life, as of course there is also now a separate independent investigation going on looking at what happened at this particular event. And now we're getting more information showing how the Secret Service was now even more involved than previously believed when it came to obfuscating this event and allowing it to happen. That's my particular point of view. They at least, the minimum bare thing, allowed it to happen. Now, whether it was incompetence or direct involvement here, this latest development saying, hey, local law enforcement, hey, all these other authority figures, police officers here, don't worry, we got the roof covered. They didn't have the roof covered.
I think that the important thing for people to remember is that right after the attack happened, you had Secret Service pointing the finger at local PD and local PD pointing the finger back at Secret Service, both claiming that that rooftop was supposed to be guarded by the other forces. If this confirmation is correct, which it seems with all of the months that have passed since then, it seems like this is probably the truth. That means that the Secret Service lied once again, and that in fact they told local PD, don't worry about this. And if you also remember, it was Kim Cheadle who said that their perimeter did not encompass that rooftop, that it was left to local PD. So that woman, who is no longer head of the Secret Service, absolutely lied. And I think that needs a formal investigation, if not a criminal one.
Yeah, I'm happy these separate investigations are happening, because I think if they weren't, I think the feds weren't expecting them to happen either. And I think this is why they're also obfuscating this investigation, as members of Congress have literally come forward and said, yeah, the FBI is not providing us any information here. Yeah, they're redacting everything. They're not helping us to find out what actually happened here. And to me, if you're Donald Trump, you're seeing the writing on the walls here, and they're not good writings. they're not good omens. They're not good kind of momentum where you're kind of moving forward. And even the people who are saying, yeah, we'll get to the bottom of it, they're even being, of course, stopped from revealing deeper information. So this is the information that we have, and this is not even the information that they're hiding. Now imagine, what are they redacting? What are they keeping secret from everyone else that the members of Congress, the members of Senate still didn't get their hands on? That's something that I think about almost every night now during this political cycle that we know is only going to get a lot more crazier before November 5th.
I remember when people were saying, like, this would be too many people that have to be in the know. You know, that's always the counterclaim to conspiracy theories, is that, oh, too many people would have to know. Here's why you're wrong. All you have to do is have the lead agent in charge of the Secret Service tell local PD who's adding supplemental security that we've got that roof covered. You don't have to worry about it. Turns out they then the head of the Secret Service just says, yeah, local PD is covering that. Tell your counter sniper teams you don't have to worry about it. Now all of a sudden you've left the perfect rooftop to take a clean, direct shot at Donald Trump, wide open. Like, that's all it takes. It takes one person to know. You probably get the order from Mayorkas or whoever's actually puppeting this thing. I really think it's that simple. And yes, I have a tinfoil hat on right now, but no, I don't think I'm wrong.
I think most of America has a tinfoil hat on. How can you not? After all the information that has come forward, after all the questions that have not been answered, after all the government coincidences and accidents that have happened here. Jimmy, I don't know if you have a tinfoil hat on, but I think if you don't, you're kind of left out of the conversation and you're not paying attention to what's going on.
No, I've been paying attention. I stay more silent on a lot of things, but I be peeping everything. And not only did I have a tinfoil hat on, I made a whole music video covering an entire house in tinfoil.
Wow.
I'm going to be living in that soon.
All of us are probably going to be living in that soon. We could probably pull it up. We're going to be on a free speech platform in just about 30 minutes from now. When we could, of course, have more freedom to get into a lot of the more deeper down the rabbit hole issues as well. But again, there's also now questions, specifically what happened with potentially now a chemical attack, as there's now a mystery illness that allegedly has affected 20 attendees at a rally that Donald Trump held in Tucson, Arizona. As, of course, these questions still remain on everyone's mind here, as some people are saying, hey, there's some disinformation here. Some people are saying, hey, this is actually legitimate here. I don't know what to make of this particular story. The news segment on this was pretty eye-opening, to say the least here. But what do you guys think of what happened in Arizona, as a lot of people people are coming forward and saying, yeah, there's something weird going on to just one particular section that was at Trump's rally that is reporting all going to the hospital.
You know, what's wild is that it was the section directly behind Donald Trump. So he had two sections, one on the right and one towards the left, and it was everybody on one side of the stage. But it seems like it was directed towards maybe the center of the stage, and they just kind of missed it. And 20 people, I don't know if you guys have seen videos of the people that they've been posting, but like their eyes burn and they're blinded now. Like, I don't know if it's going to be permanent or if it's just like a short-term type of thing, but they are really affected. And so it's like we have these chemical now, you know, attacks on people at the rallies, and I don't really see a whole lot of mainstream media covering it. It's like, so he's been shot at now multiple times, you know, and now there's a chemical attack. But no, don't worry about it. Everything's cool. Nobody's after him. I hope he has somebody testing his food before he eats it. And, you know, it's just a little wacky, but whatever. It's an election year.
It's not even joking. Like, if he doesn't have a food taster, he's in serious trouble. Look, I can't really come to a hard conclusion on this because I think that there's always the potential that people are just interested in being in the news cycle. However, based off of the interviews I've seen of these people, they seem very sincere. They seem that their vision is impaired significantly, and the early reports are that multiple people have the exact same diagnosis, and a lot of people suspect that instead of this being some sort of chemical attack, it could be lasers. If you were to run lasers at a certain, like, low enough, I don't know if it's UV or whatever the calculation is, but if you run it at the lower enough level, it would not be noticeable to the human eye. However, it would be damaging to the human eye. It would also burn your skin potentially. So if these people are dealing with that, then it does seem as if there's another attack. I will say the weirdest part about this, though, is that why would Donald Trump not have been affected? You don't miss with that type of device, I would think. So that's the other thing that's weird.
Maybe it was like a cross-eyed CIA agent that would work with the laser beam that just like missed out. I mean, he could have been a DEI hire.
Clip that 3 seconds and run it on loop for me, please.
That's a larger possibility here. But even if Donald Trump was affected here, maybe it could be strategic not to even say anything here at this particular point here, if you know what's going on here. Because I think Trump has been very kind of strategic surrounding a lot of all of these incidences, and he has always been praising the Secret Service. The last time we were live, he did that space on Twitter, and he thanked the Secret Service, and he thanked them again. And
he's like, please keep me alive,
which is smart. I would be thanking him too, just in case.
Man,
just in case, public facing. Thank you so much. Behind the scenes is another thing, but public facing.
Jimmy, is there a strategy going on here? Because you kind of know a lot of these people more than we do. What would you do if you were Donald Trump and he had all these incidences? Would you keep it quiet until you get elected, or do you make a big stink about it now?
I would figure it out in the background, and I would thank them publicly like he did, because he's always trying to do the thing that's more class act, you know.
Yeah.
That makes sense, but at the same time, I would have fired these people, and I would have an entire detail of JSOC that's covering me 24/7. I would not want these people anywhere near me. I'm just being totally honest with you. Like, I think that they were responsible, at least for standing down to allow both of these first two attacks to happen. If not, there may have been a third. We don't really know at this junction. One other point I wanted to make real quick, that there's a distinct possibility that if it is a laser attack that affected these people, what if the bulletproof glass that they're putting in front of Trump actually
protected him?
Deflected the light.
I just came up with another angle that makes it more understandable.
That makes a lot of sense. And honestly, I mean, it seems like he had something protecting him. And I mean, I know a lot of people are saying like the first bullet also, he had something protecting him. That's I know a lot of people, and maybe Jimmy here can speak more on that, but a lot of people are thinking that it was like an act of God, because he moved his head literally in the last second.
I know.
So who knows, whatever it is, but clearly he's got some protection.
Yeah, and I think this would be an interesting segue to talk about the larger kind of spiritual aspect to a lot of this, because I think a lot of people are having a coming to God moment in 2024, especially with just how crazy, just how insane everything is transfolding in our modern day society. A lot of people are saying, I don't want to be down with that kind of degeneracy. I don't want to be down with that kind of corporatocracy. I don't want to be down with this kind of technocratic destruction of free speech and the free human spirit. And I think a lot of people, more than ever recently, the trend overall has been going down. A lot of people are becoming more godless overall. But I think this year really has been a kind of a larger awakening spiritually to a lot of people who are finding God, who are understanding that this is kind of a larger spiritual battle. Because Jimmy, I don't know, you could speak about this more than anyone else in this particular field. But from what I see, everything that I've been involved in for over the past 20 years as an independent media journalist and a commentator is that this is a larger spiritual war between good and evil. And I think it's easy to generalize it like that, but from everything that I've seen, from all the incidences that I had, for all the moments that I had in my life, there's no other way of describing what I'm seeing right now other than a spiritual war.
100%. This is a war right now. It's a battle between good and evil. And for so long, you know, we always talked about how we saw the symbolism and we saw the hand gestures and everything that was basically in the forefront but not bluntly said. And we know it's because of the karmic law, but Satan is on his last leg. You know, his time is coming short. And that is why we are seeing so many people coming to God, so many people having that moment and doing a complete shift in their life. And now what used to be glorified for, I'd say, the last, 60 years was drugs, violence, degeneracy, sin, and music. People are getting sick of that, and it's not the cool thing anymore. And I'm seeing and noticing that a lot of conservative music, a lot of music that promotes Judeo-Christian values, that promotes God, that promotes family freedom, just a normal fun time without a weird external agenda, you know, is what people want to hear. They're sick of it. So that overall, it's a shift in the spirit right now.
Yeah, now the counterculture is having family and kids and settling down and having a white picket fence and being in the suburbs.
I can't afford a fence, Luke.
Yes, we can't afford a house either. As it's becoming more and more difficult for people to survive. And I think there's also a particular law here where a lot of the more evil spirits have to kind of show themselves, reveal themselves, and have some kind of acquiescence with the people that participate in the larger kind of forms of evil that are out there. And they do this in many kind of different ways. I think, you know, call me a crazy person, but I think music is a perfect vector for this, as it speaks to a lot of people's subconscious that is usually affected. And in music, you do see, we have lyrics from Justin Bieber that are going to blow you away that we're going to be playing in about 30 minutes. But a lot of them always speak about selling their soul to the devil, always speak about doing really horrible, evil things. And to me, this is their kind of subtle way of putting it into the forefront of what they're doing, so they have everyone's kind of acquiescence into it, because they can't just do it fully lying. They need some kind of participation in it.
Right. In the music and in the spiritual realm, music started in the heavens. So, you know, Lucifer was the angel of music, the most beautiful angel, the angel with the best voice, and God made him in charge of the music choir to worship him. And, you know, he wanted all of the glory for himself, which is why he got casted down here with 1/3 of heaven. And that is why you see all of the artists in the music industry representing Satan, representing darkness, pushing all of this evil, because they're representing who the God of the world is. And that's who they serve, and that's how they get the blessings from him, or as we would say, the curses, you know, because at the end of the day, they can't take none of it with them, you know. But at the end of the day, music is all about worship. So, you know, whether you're making music that's about darkness or making music about light, you're either bringing people to God or away from God. It's very black and white when it comes to music.
I feel like Jimmy would probably get an invite to one of Diddy's parties. You ever get an invite?
I have been to one of the New Year's parties, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you see anything wild?
I'm gonna keep that to myself.
All right.
Yeah. We still want to talk about all the latest developments happening to that particular person, but we know there's a long kind of history with all of this. We know that there's a lot of kind of shadowy occult figures out there that are kind of pulling the strings behind the scenes as well. And that's why it's so fascinating to see this kind of larger political realignment that's happening right now, as a lot of people who predominantly are anti-establishment, who predominantly don't play ball with some of the more evil forces and powers out there, are kind of coming together. As RFK Jr., I think, explained it best when he was recently talking to Tucker Carlson. Here's the clip that I wanted to play for everybody.
I saw Kamala, at the convention, and she gave a speech that was very bellicose and belligerent. It was a kind of speech that was written by neocons and the CIA. The first time in history they had a CIA former director speaking right before her, Leon Panetta, and military people speaking at the Democratic Convention. Democrats were the anti-war party. They were the pro-Constitution party. They were the party that was against Wall Street and representing the little guys, the cops, the firefighters, union and labor people. In the 2020 election, roughly 50% of the people in this country voted for Donald Trump. But that group that voted for Donald Trump represented 30% of the wealth in our country. The 50% of the people that voted for Joe Biden represented 70% of the wealth. There's been an inversion now where the Republican Party has become the party of the common man, of working people, of the middle class. And the Democratic Party has become the party of Wall Street, of the military-industrial complex, of big pharma, big agriculture, big tech, the big banking systems, and all of what Donald Trump calls the deep state, which is this web of financial interests that is not necessarily a little conspiracy, but it's a conspiracy of self-interest that functions together in tandem to shift wealth upward, to clamp down totalitarian controls, and to transform this country from the world's exemplary democracy.
I would just disagree with RFK. I think it's far beyond self-interest. I think there's other forces, other powers, other entities at play here, and I think those are the things that are kind of coalescing surrounding a lot of those big special interest groups that have gained control over our government and are not just using it for their own kind of sinister purposes and for their own personal benefit, but I think for this larger kind of spiritual battle. That's just my perspective. That's just my 2 cents on here.
I mean, I go back and forth, and I've told you this before on this program, that I want to have this fantasy that the Republicans now leading, Donald Trump is going to be this grand savior and he's going to come and but and then I have the other side, which is the government always wins every election. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who wins. The government is the one who wins ultimately. So I don't know where I stand on this, actually.
I mean, I think the battle lines are pretty clear here. I think we see who's supporting who. And if you look at a lot of the people that are supporting the mainline Democratic corporate establishment, they have a bad track record. they don't have the best energy behind them. They don't have the best juju. I'll just leave it at that.
I do love that the Democrats are like totally like now the neocon group, whereas the Republicans are like, meh, maybe we made a mistake with the wars. Like maybe we don't need to do that. So I don't know. I reserve my...
Yeah, I've been in politics for 20 years, and I've never seen anything like this.
Right.
I've never seen such a bifurcation. I've never seen such a divide within our society and within the ruling class. Seeing this larger divide and seeing them pulling all the stops to the point of assassination really does highlight to me a kind of bigger make or break moment, as I've always kind of talked about this larger kind of historical trend of the forces of evil usually gaining ground, and then last minute, right before it's too late, the forces of good kind of coming together and stopping those forces of evil. I think historically that has always kind of happened in many different contexts, in many different particular ways, and I think we might be experiencing one of those moments now.
I think the anti-war rally followed by I think it's Defend the West get together with a bunch of incredible people, I think maybe the first opening salvo of that good guys coming together thing, setting our differences aside. RFK Jr. will be there, Brett Weinstein, Tulsi Gabbard, a bunch of people that will, have a lot of ideological differences that are going to come together because they see something that's more important. I'm one of those people that's like, man, we got to set the partisanship aside in this junction just because it's so dangerous. And from my vantage point, it is what you pointed out with all of the assassination attempts. That's obviously put us on the highest level of threat vector I've ever seen. But then if you also add into that the multiple proxy wars with nuclear powers, the escalations between Russia, the potential for war with Iran, this is as dangerous a time as we've ever lived through.
I'll add to that. I see you and I raise you the lawfare because as the Hispanic of the group, I've seen a lot. Hola. I've seen what happens in Latin America. Last year, 7 of the presidential candidates in Nicaragua were thrown in jail simply for being the candidate. So this is looking a lot like a banana republic public. So it's not just the assassination attempts, it's the lawfare part of this. They are literally going after Donald Trump with everything. They're throwing everything at him. Let's go after him with all these lawsuits. Let's go after him with bullets. Now, potentially, some other thing.
Who knows?
Who knows? Exactly. So for me, it's that, and the people that I respect, I do respect Tulsi Gabbard. I know she was a Democrat. She was, but I've always respected her as a truth teller, as a soldier, as somebody who I believe tells the truth more often than not. And seeing her join this team, again, it pushes me to that side. Is Donald Trump the person that he's portraying himself to be as like that savior or not? But all these good people are coming to his side, and it's, you got to at least pay some attention to that.
Well, he pays for his cheeseburgers with Bitcoin. As of course, he just did a bigger publicity stunt in New York City, where he was seen with the head of Bitcoin magazine, where he literally paid for everyone's cheeseburgers using cryptocurrencies. As of course, he literally paid with his own wallet. I wonder now if the federal government will go after him for all the taxes for that particular transaction, as this is something that I think also kind of signals a larger turning of the tide, a larger shift in our kind of not just political discourse, but financial discourse as well, as a lot of people are looking at this latest new tech as a way to, of course, incentivize people to get off the U.S. Federal Reserve banking system. And if you look at American history, there are kind of very interesting events, specifically with presidents trying to get off the U.S. Federal Reserve banking system, that usually have bullets fly at them. Is that what could be potentially happening here? I don't know.
What crypto did he use specifically? Do we know?
Bitcoin.
He used Bitcoin.
Good. He used Bitcoin to pay with his tab. But you could see the CEO of Bitcoin magazine right behind him.
Oh, I didn't see.
Orange man, orange coin, as they say.
Yes.
I love it.
Orange man, orange pilled. David Bailey,
Let's go.
right behind him, who, of course, is a big pioneer in the Bitcoin community and space.
And remember, Trump came to the Bitcoin conference and spoke, and he also said that he would free Ross. So I'm all for it. Yay, Trump, finally something I can really cheer and be thrilled about.
Yeah. Otherwise, we're stuck with the Federal Reserve banking system that really isn't doing the right things. As recently, they just did a point rate cut. Clint, this is more of your wheelhouse here, but financially, what are you seeing going on right now, as a lot of people are saying that this is not that good?
Yeah, well, it signals weakness in the market in that the Fed thinks that inflation has been subdued. I find that very hard to believe, but what they're seeing is undoubtedly dangers in the market in terms of debt. So I think that they have to reduce the rate because the federal government wants to borrow cheaper, corporations want to borrow cheaper. I think the scariest part about this is that they signaled that this is not the only cut, that in fact there would be probably 6 more cuts over the next year and a half, quarter to a half point each time. So we could see the Fed funds rate come from 5, barreling down south of 3% again. That would be very close to historical lows. So I think
How do you think this affects the election, though? Because that's really, I don't think that they're doing this just in a vacuum. I think they're doing this to maybe prop up another candidate.
I don't know. I don't know that it puts risk on that aggressively. Oftentimes, the market will react in the inverse to what the Fed does. Like normally when they reduce rates, you would expect the market to go wild. I haven't been paying attention to the market since they made this announcement, so we could look into that and see if the market has reacted by having a huge bullish run. I don't know. I don't know if that's all this is, if it's about election engineering. I think that they are really concerned about the economy. I think that all of these corporations borrowed tremendous amounts of money at the 0% rate when it was held crazy low for way too many years, and now a lot of those loans are turning over. So they need to be able to reborrow that money. And I think that's what they're preparing for, is that they're just trying to make it so that these corporations don't, and most importantly, that the banks don't go insolvent. I think that's what they're really worried about.
Federal Reserve playing politics? Who would have thought? As I think that's the biggest thorn in the American people's side right now, especially with all the secret Federal Reserve bailouts that are happening, especially with all the money printing that's happening. As financially, I think the economy is going to be one of the biggest things that are going to be affecting this particular economic season. And I'm just absolutely worried with everything that's kind of unfolding here, because I do believe 2025 will be the kind of major galvanizing economic event that a lot of people have been expecting to happen to the United States, as a lot of people are expecting a correction. That correction hasn't happened for a very long time. The trends haven't been following like they usually have been going. And to me, this does largely signal some big problems for the U.S. dollar as well.
I totally agree. And I think that particularly if Trump wins, the economy in 2025 is in tremendous danger, because I've said this before, but I'll just repeat it because it's really important. They want desperately for populist right-wing movements to be perceived as economic dead ends. They want the albatross to be, or the sword of Damocles to come down under Trump's second term, because then the rest of the people that don't understand economics, which is the vast majority of people, will blame Trump for it, as opposed to the enormous debt that has been taken on by every president in my lifetime.
Yeah, we have a super chat from Nikki Nada saying he paid with Bitcoin at Pub Key. No crap coins allowed in that bar. So thank you for that clarification. We got another one here on screen. Can you read this one, Steph?
Deadheaded says, please have Aaron Day on the show. We all need to know more about CBCDPs and using crypto.
Sure.
Ooh, I love Aaron Day. Yeah, let's go for it.
Let's invite him. Yeah, absolutely. We got a lot of great people coming in studio within the next few days. Dinesh D'Souza this Monday as well, so stay tuned for that. 6 p.m. Eastern. You hearing that, Clint?
Yeah, no.
6 p.m. Eastern
That's
Monday.
the normal time, Luke. I'll be there.
That's the normal time as well. As it looks like we also just got new footage coming out showing Diddy's arrest. Yes, this is new footage that has surfaced showing federal agents apprehending and arresting P. Diddy, taking him away in the lobby of this particular hotel room. Of course, TMZ has gotten the official footage here. You could see P. Diddy with his arms behind his back, and federal agents that have recently arrested him, as he is now in custody in Manhattan from the same office that handled the Epstein case.
What a coinkydink.
Yeah, another kind of coincidence here, as there's now so many different kind of videos surfacing. We got another one that we're going to be playing to you in about 10 minutes on the next platform. But before going over there, there's a lot of people implicated here. Ashton Kutcher, one of them, but more importantly, Barack Obama, the Clintons, and a lot of other big Democratic players that were involved with P. Diddy, as of course he was playing a major role trying to get Democrats elected in political office. Here's Ashton Kutcher talking about his experiences at the Diddy parties that I think were pretty eye-opening.
Diddy party stories, they're our favorite genre of anecdote, if you have one. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I've got a lot. I can't tell. So, I can't tell that one either. I mean, I'm like actually cycling through them. Feel like
we still have some time to go. You know, I can blow it here.
Okay. Feel free. Diddy party stories. Man, that was like some weird memory lane. Ugh.
I think we just saw a man go through PTSD.
I think so. But you know what's wild is he's known for his anti-child trafficking stuff. And so, yeah, I'd love to pick his brain one day. That's for sure.
Methinks he doth protest too much, perhaps. I mean, if you're going to become some outspoken advocate, there's also footage going around of him talking about the other guy who was on that 70s show, who's now in prison for sexual assault, where they were betting each other $20 to kiss a 14-year-old Mila Kunis. So I have a sneaking suspicion that perhaps Ashton has become an outspoken person, in defense of human trafficking victims, because he may have a guilty conscience.
Yes, and you look at a lot of the people who are usually the biggest advocates for something, they're usually some of the biggest kind of perpetrators of it as well. Exactly. A lot of people who also were promoting a lot of anti-gay kind of rhetoric turned out to be gay. There was this one famous Republican politician that got caught in a bathroom trying to do some really weird stuff with an undercover agent that he didn't know was undercover, as he was, of course, a big promoter of anti-gay rhetoric. And whatever you might think about gay people or whatever their perspective is, it is kind of very telling to see that kind of reaction and that body language and the micro expressions he was expressing throughout that pondering thinking of these particular parties. That does highlight some larger questions here. Jimmy, what do you think of this?
I agree. whenever someone is such a big advocate for something, you always have to look into it, especially, you know, with the industry and someone that's more famous or whatever, because usually they're doing the complete opposite. I'll give one example, John Walsh. You know, my grandma was actually the one that found Adam Walsh's head, his son, and that was the biggest case out of Florida, the first biggest missing child case ever in Florida that made national news. And so my grandma was a psychic, so she found his head, took the investigators, whatever. But his daughter was actually speaking out recently and saying that he's actually the complete opposite. He was on the stage with Hunter Biden and receiving an award. And so there was a bunch of weird connections. And from what she's blatantly saying on her Twitter, I mean, it's the complete opposite of, you know, America's Most Wanted, the show that was created to find missing children. In reality, you know, I seem to believe that it's, you know, just a cover up to do the complete opposite. So
yeah, I automatically have a lot of questions about this psychic now. Can you tell us more? Because that sparked my particular interest in all of this. Because sadly, you know, human trafficking is real, and there are so many children that go missing, especially in Latin American countries like Mexico. You fly into Mexico City, you walk around outside of the airport, it's nothing but missing persons posters everywhere. And I think human trafficking is bad here. It's way worse in places like Ukraine. It's way worse in poorer countries in Latin America. And you go to Asia, holy cow, the human trafficking that happens there is absolutely tragic. So
think about the UN and the Clinton Global Initiative when it came to Haiti, and then all of the human trafficking that happened there. It's just like the people that are the most outspoken in defense of these you know, victims, these children, oftentimes seem to be involved in ushering them across the world. How fascinating.
If you really want to freak out, look up DynCorp and the U.S. government contractor that literally was caught red-handed human and child trafficking in very horrible ways that continued to get lucrative government contracts. So this whole Epstein stuff, people were like, how did you know about government human trafficking? It was all there plainly in front of everyone all the way back in the early 2000s. So you thought that they stopped for some reason?
Right.
Absolutely, they did not at all. But again, I have questions about this psychic and this missing human case. Can you explain a little bit further what happened here? What's the exact details here?
So this happened before I was born. I think it happened the year I was born. I'm not sure. But Adam Walsh was a child that was at Sears in the Oakwood Plaza right here. I guess his mom, he was with his mom. She like walked away for a second, and then he went missing. And then they found him beheaded in a lake. And from what I remember, they were investigating it for a while. And then my grandma was a psychic investigator, so that's what she did. She was the #1 psychic in the world. You know, Elvis is psychic. All the big celebrities, they'd go to her for advice. So you know, they contacted her. She came to the scene, and then she helped find the head and I guess some of the body parts. My grandma passed away, so I can't really ask her, but that's what, you know, it's online, a lot of it, but that's what I remember. Wow. So I posted about it, and the daughter of John, so this was his son Adam, and this was her older brother, but he passed away before she was born, from what I know. Yeah. So I actually saw her post on Twitter start talking about her dad and how he's really, you know, used this whole America's Most Wanted show, you know, was a cover up to do the complete opposite and to traffic children, and that, you know, he took her kids away. And so I actually sat with her at dinner on her birthday, and she was telling me, you know, what they did to her and what they put her through and how they made her look crazy and took her kids away. And, you know, we kind of connected some pieces. I told her my grandma's the one that found her brother's, you know, body and helped with that. So, like, it was a crazy moment.
Dude, that's a wild story.
That is a pretty crazy story as well. As I have so many questions about a lot of this, but you know, throughout my life, you know, psychics are. Some people say, you know, some people are con artists, but I think in a lot of aspects, from what I personally experience, a lot of them are absolutely real. And a lot of them know more and are more inclined to the larger kind of spiritual aspects that a lot of people have hidden away, since their pineal glands are usually calcified through all the government water and fluoride that they intake. So that's just my little rant there myself. But I think children are usually targeted here because they're seen as kind of very innocent. And if you're someone that's evil, you want to corrupt the innocent. And I think that's why children are such a specific target for a lot of these individuals, and why human trafficking is as big as it is, and why abuse against children is kind of ritualistically practiced by a lot of these elites as well, because they see something that is pure, they see something that is just light, and they want to, of course, corrupt it. And it's their ultimate form of evil expressed through their actions.
I know you already said you don't want to talk about the Diddy party, but I would like to know, did you feel a negative aura?
I mean,
That's
felt
talking about it.
Is it?
I mean, yeah, but also you have your own gifts, and maybe you can talk about that, because you do have your own sort of psychic gifts, and I'm equally curious.
So I don't want to talk much about it, but it wasn't a party like that. It was just a New Year's party, and I mean, there was a lot of weird things, but those weird things happen everywhere in Miami, you know?
Yeah,
so I wasn't in that. I've seen weird stuff like what's being talked about, you know, of Diddy in other places I don't want to talk about, but not at his house specifically.
Got you.
For that party.
Well, LeBron James seems like he had a good old time at one of these parties. There's this clip also resurfaced recently that a lot of people are talking about as well.
I mean, shout out to all the healthcare workers, not only in Los Angeles, but in your hometown of New York, but all over the world. The commitment, the hours, the pressure that they're dealing with right now is unprecedented. And to know that they're coming through and making sure that everyone is as healthy as can be right now is something that need to be acknowledged. And what you're doing right now and giving everybody a light, man, this is an unbelievable thing, man. Like everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party. So
yeah, that's what's up. Yeah.
Hey,
yo, check this out. The family's there. My family's here. Does anybody in the family got a record request? Want to hit a two-step? The Combs family and the James family.
Yeah, ain't no party like a Diddy party. And you know LeBron probably got down, if you know what I mean. A lot of the people.
Cappy Pondexter. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I need more context.
I know,
now.
right? Like that was wild.
Everybody's going to know what that means.
Can you say it one more time?
Cappy Pondexter.
You're going to set off people on a Google spree here.
Super chats, let's go. Let's go. I need to know what that means.
We're going to continue talking about this story. There's also a crazy story of someone that was injured in California from a specific procedure that we can't talk about here on YouTube. So we're going to leave YouTube right now, and we're going to go towards a free speech platform where we are going to be able to discuss whatever we want in a fully uncensored, total free way, as of course we are right now on the front page of this particular platform. Go there right now, or just go to thebestpoliticalshow.com, as the conversation will of course continue there. Before leaving our technocratic gulag overlords here at YouTube, Jimmy, where can people find out more information about you?
All of my social medias are under Jimmy Levy.
And Martha?
You can find me at Bueno for Miami on Instagram and X, and I am going down that rabbit hole of Cappy Poindexter. I will send it to you, Luke, for the next one.
Absolutely.
At Liberty Lockpod on X, Liberty Lockdown on Instagram, and most other places. YouTube. 2 new episodes over the past couple days. Check those out. Liberty Lockdown. Also do Tower Gang. Never watched that. And check out Jimmy's music. It's fantastic. I guess we're gonna play some.
Yeah. If Jimmy wants to, of course. We improved your camera too. Look at that quality. Look at that.
I'm feeling.
Look at that professionalism.
I'm feeling much more unwashed out than the other cameras. It was great.
Steph.
Thanks, everybody. Go on to the next platform. This is Steph We Are Change on Instagram and Steph WRC on X.
All right. Conversation, of course, continues. I don't think, do we have a caller yet? I don't think we do. You could be that caller. Sign up to lookunfiltered.com, and we will be going to you in about 30 minutes from now, all on